Remember when someone tried to buy Greenland? It sounded wild, like a joke. But what if that idea wasn't so crazy after all?
We need Greenland from a national security situation.
Greenland is not a product, we're a people, and that should be taken very seriously and that should be respected.
This island, once just an ignored block of ice, is suddenly at the heart of a global power grab. Empires are colliding, not with bombs, but with banks and bases. Your world is about to change.
We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way.
It would be the biggest self-inflicted wound to the Western world in history.
So what's really going on? It all comes down to a very old rule about power. Whoever controls the oceans controls the world. And right at this moment, a brand new ocean is opening up at the top of the planet. See, the Arctic is warming up 4 times faster than anywhere else. All that ice that's been frozen for thousands of years, it's melting, and it's melting fast. This isn't just an environmental story, it's redrawing the map. Suddenly, new shipping routes are appearing, shortcuts that can shave weeks off a trip between Europe and Asia. There's also a ton of oil, gas, and valuable minerals under that water, stuff that was impossible to get to before. And the world's biggest players are noticing. Russia is setting up new military bases all along its northern coast. The US is spending over $1 billion on new ships that can smash through the ice. Even China, a country nowhere near the Arctic, is trying to push its way in with something they call an ice silk road. And Greenland is sitting right in the middle of it all. It's gone from a frozen, forgotten island to maybe the most important piece of real estate on Earth. So what makes this massive, frozen island so important? It's all about location, location, location. As the Arctic ice vanishes, it's not just disappearing, it's revealing something that hasn't existed for modern humans. A shortcut. A whole new ocean passage at the top of the world. Think about it. For centuries, a ship going from China to Germany had to travel thousands of extra miles, squeezing through crowded choke points like the Suez Canal. But now, new routes like the Northern Sea Route are opening up. This isn't just a slightly better path. It's a potential revolution in global trade. A direct highway between Asia, Europe, and North America. And Greenland is the gatekeeper. It sits right at the intersection of these new sea lanes. A watchtower over the world's future shipping arteries, countries are already scrambling to control these passages. Canada, for example, is making it very clear they consider the Northwest Passage their territory. But the land itself is just as valuable as the water around it. Beneath all that ice, Greenland is sitting on a treasure trove of rare earth minerals. If that sounds boring, it's not. Rare earths are the secret ingredients in everything from your smartphone and your laptop to the engine in an electric car. They are, simply put, the building blocks of the 21st century economy, and the fight to control them has already started.
We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way.
It would be the biggest self-inflicted wound to the Western world in history.
Take this story. A Chinese-backed company was funding a huge zinc and lead mine up in northern Greenland. They were all set to move in. Then, the United States stepped in. Quietly, the US government helped arrange a $650 million deal for the mine's Australian owners, effectively cutting the Chinese company out completely. This isn't just business. It's a geopolitical chess match where superpowers are writing massive checks to make sure their rivals can't get a foothold on the island. Because they all know that whoever controls Greenland's resources has a major say in our future. And it's not just about writing checks for mines. The United States is going all in. For the first time since 1953, America reopened its consulate in Greenland's capital, Nuuk. That's a huge diplomatic signal. It's like putting a flag in the ground and saying, we're back, and we're here to stay. Along with that came an offer of millions of dollars in aid to help Greenland build up its own industries, like mining and tourism. The message is simple. You don't have to take money from our rivals. We can be your partner. It's a strategy to build trust and to offer an alternative to countries like China. But this isn't just about handshakes and economic deals. There's some serious military muscle behind it. The US is pouring a staggering $4 billion into upgrading its massive air and space base in the far north of Greenland. This isn't just a fresh coat of paint. It's a top-to-bottom overhaul to project American power into the new Arctic. The US Army has even started sending soldiers up there for intense training exercises. They're learning how to fight in the brutal cold, preparing for a conflict that was unthinkable just a generation ago. So what's driving all this? In a word, China.
China's foreign ministry spokeswoman was asked in a press briefing about comments by US President Donald Trump that he would like to make a deal to acquire Greenland to prevent Russia and China from taking it over.
The US has been very open about its concerns. As one former Secretary of State put it, how can China call itself a near-Arctic state when the closest part of China is 900 miles away from the Arctic Circle? He basically said that China's words and actions make you wonder what they're really up to. And America isn't just talking. It's actively working to block China's influence on the island. When a Chinese company was set to build Greenland's new airports, the US pressured Denmark to kill the deal. When another Chinese company got a license for a huge mine, the US supported the move to kick them out. For the United States, the mission is crystal clear: secure Greenland, and you help secure the entire Arctic. But America isn't just fighting shadows. Its rivals have a very real and very ambitious plan for the Arctic. China and Russia are working together on what they call a Polar Silk Road. It's a massive project to create new shipping routes and secure resources through the north. And they're putting serious money behind it. China has already invested over $10 billion into projects all across the region, trying to get a foothold. And we've seen exactly how they operate. Back in 2017, Greenland needed to build new, bigger airports. They needed money, and China was happy to offer a loan. But there was a catch. A Chinese company had to build them. This set off major alarm bells in the Pentagon. They worried that if Greenland couldn't pay back the loan, China could just take control of the airports. Suddenly, a civilian project could become a strategic military outpost. So the US worked behind the scenes, pressuring Denmark to step in and fund the airports themselves, killing the deal with China. This is what the new great power competition looks like, not with tanks, but with contracts and quiet phone calls. While China pushes its economic power, Russia is flexing its military muscle. Russia has been busy reopening old Soviet-era military bases all along its massive Arctic coastline. They're dotting the map with runways, ports, and soldiers. On top of that, they've made huge territorial claims in the Arctic, basically drawing a line on the map all the way to the North Pole and saying, "This is ours." All of this puts the people of Greenland in a really tough spot. On one hand, polls show that about half of Greenlanders actually have a positive view of China's rise on the world stage. But when you ask them about direct Chinese investment in their country, nearly 70% say no. They see the opportunity, but they're also deeply suspicious of the price tag that comes with it. They're caught in the middle of a global chess match, trying to build a future for themselves without becoming a pawn for someone else. But it turns out the people of Greenland aren't just caught in the middle. They're learning how to play the game, and they're getting very, very good at it. Think back to that airport deal. On the surface, it looked like a tug of war between Washington and Beijing. But look at it from Greenland's point of view. They needed new airports. They didn't have the money, so they opened the door to China. That single move sent a shockwave through the West. Suddenly, the US and Denmark were terrified of a Chinese outpost in their backyard. The end result? Denmark stepped in and paid for most of the airports themselves. Greenland got exactly what it wanted, funded by a partner they were more comfortable with. Whether they planned it that way or just got lucky, they used the great power rivalry to their own advantage.
The Arctic affects the international community's interests. China's Arctic activities aim to promote peace, stability, and sustainable development in accordance with international law. The rights and freedoms of all countries to lawfully conduct activities in the Arctic should be fully respected.
The United States is pursuing its own selfish interests, so don't use other countries as an excuse.
They turned a geopolitical threat into a massive infrastructure project. This is the new reality. Greenland's leaders know their island is valuable, and they're using that leverage to get the best deal possible for their people. And this isn't just a government strategy, it reflects what people on the ground actually think. A local woman named Kupanuk explained it perfectly. She said Greenland's doors are open first to their closest friends and countries that think like they do. After that, if other countries want to come in and invest, they can, but they have to do it on Greenland's terms. It's a clear message. We're open for business, but we're in charge. They're not picking a side between the US, China, or Russia. They're picking their own side. They're carefully building a future where they aren't just a resource hub for bigger nations, but an independent country that calls its own shots. And they're using the world's biggest powers as building blocks to get there. The Arctic is warming 4 times faster than anywhere else. It's creating a whole new ocean, and with it, a new battleground for global power. The stakes are huge. Countries are pouring billions into this region. The US, for example, is spending big money on military upgrades like a massive $4 billion overhaul for its air base in northern Greenland, turning old Cold War spots into key assets for whatever comes next. But the people of Greenland aren't just bystanders. Not as a chess piece for bigger nations. As one local, Kupanuk, put it so clearly, many of us haven't realized how powerful we can be. It's a tiny country, but if they didn't have us, we should be more aware and proud of how strong we can actually be in the future. This isn't just about ice melting. It's about a new world order taking shape, with this small island at its heart. The power grab we talked about in the beginning? It's very real. And Greenland is playing its own game. The future of this island, and maybe even the balance of global power, is still being written, and you won't want to miss what happens next. Stick around to keep seeing how the world is truly changing. Hit that subscribe button